you very much, Melissa and Louise. There's a lot of interesting data in there, I think, to help show that decision-making is very contextual and it's influenced by lots of things. One of the things that was mentioned in the last panel was that, building capacity of farmer groups, building that knowledge, and the next panel is also looking at reflecting on an experience of building innovation capacity in some of our farming systems groups, some of the farmer groups in the Soil CRC. I'll just explain the project as told to me by David. It's about partnering with Soil CRC farmer groups over 12 to 18 months to build their innovation capacity, 5 groups, 2 rounds of activities, supports an innovation manager in each farmer group to learn about innovation and develop an innovation strategy for their group. I'm really excited to have this group. I've seen them in action in workshops. If I could ask each of you to introduce yourself briefly, so that everyone knows who you are, and then I will be asking you about the opportunities that this project is seizing, what excites you about the project, why you're doing it, why you've got that excitement, and what you'd like the audience to learn from your experience. And then I'll really leave it to you because you're so good at working with each other. I'll just stand here. But a quick introduction first and then get into the opportunity.
Right, okay. David Falepau. I'm a Professor of Agricultural Business Management at Sturt University. I've had a varied academic and commercial background. So I did my PhD in meat science, actually. I've been a sharer, I've been a farmer, I've been a chief executive officer of a big $150 million a year meat processor, meat processing exporter. I managed a research and development portfolio for Meat and Livestock Australia for many years. So I got involved. I guess my passion was helping farmers, bridging the gap between research and farm practice. And then with my commercial background, I sort of got quite excited about this entrepreneurialism and risk-taking and business management and that sort of thing. And it really excites me. And so give you some idea of how excited I am about it and why it excites me. They say they're great entrepreneurs, and you see them like Elon Musk and that sort of stuff. And we see them as the great entrepreneurs because they've been really successful. Well, for every great entrepreneur, because failure is as much about entrepreneurialism, and that's the excitement, for every Elon Musk, there's a David Falepau. Right? So I get a huge excitement out of being the failure in the investment. It's the excitement of taking the punt, of taking the risk and having the chance of being an Elon Musk. Now, I think a lot of farmers are like that as well. Farmers are risk takers. We heard today about the volatility and the conditions and the things that they work with. And so they're taking risks all the time. So I sort of quite passionate about how do we help these farmers be entrepreneurs? How do we help them, manage the risks that they're doing and get the enjoyment and excitement out of farming that I get out of entrepreneurialism. So that's my passion, and that's why I sort of stepped up and said I'd like to, lead a program that helped farmers with their innovation and entrepreneurialism and help them get the benefits out of all the research that the Soil CRC has been doing.
We might yep. just so we all know who's on the panel, we'll come back. We've got 25 minutes to be excited.
Thanks, Catherine.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Kate Finger and I'm a project manager within the research team at the Birchip Cropping Group. I guess agriculture's been in my blood since the very beginning. I grew up on a farm, went to university, actually decided that plants were more exciting than animals, so I ended up doing some, I guess, an internship graduate program with AgVic that landed me with a placement at BCG, and since then I've actually never left. So I've been there for about 3 to 4 years now, and through my time at BCG you've worked on a range of projects, but it was actually the ag tech and innovation side of things that really sparked my interest in sort of areas that I've pursued further. So yeah, through this program I've really enjoyed the experience and exposure and skills that I've learned, which I guess we'll discuss a bit further.
G'day everyone, Bret Ryan, so I'm the CEO of Southern Farming Systems. I was a marine biologist who became a land health manager at an NRM organisation. They gave me an MBA, and apparently that's a fast track to becoming a CEO of a farming systems group, so that's why I'm here today. Really excited about this project, which is why I took it off our Soils Pasture and Livestock Manager, because it's become a lot broader and a lot more fulfilling, I suppose, than where it started out, which was, I think, our initial project we were looking at one-pass sowing and easing compaction on soils. It's turned into a bit more than that.
James Diack, a Farmer Engagement Manager at Soils for Life. Before I was working in agriculture, I was a community organiser, and one thing that I find very exciting is how people work together and what supports people to work with each other. Soils for Life have about 8 staff and we're just 10 years old. So we're at a key inflection point for a not-for-profit organisation, and this I see as a really good opportunity to help us move forward. So I'll come back to what we're using this for and how that relates to engagement later on.
G'day everyone, I'm Stephen, I'm the founder of the Scale Institute, and I've got Mark Morrison up the back to thank me for me being here, because he employed me maybe about in 2017 to help run his Sen West Innovate program. I spent 17 years in the entertainment industry, setting up Hollywood film and TV productions and building a business unit from scratch. And when I needed to get out of that, because I was dealing with significantly difficult customers, I went and did an MBA, and that was probably the best decision I've made, but it was the worst learning experience I had. Because I'd already known all the fundamentals of building a business, and what they gave me was 5 to 10 years out of date. So I went, well, at least I know what industry I can move into now. It was education, and by chance I started building entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystems within universities, and the New South Wales government engaged me to set up the New South Wales Sydney School of Entrepreneurship, and then I started my own company and have got a couple of other companies as well, but fundamentally I help people to think differently and act entrepreneurial, because if innately everyone has that ability.
Yep. Thank you. I will ask all of you this question, but I might start with David. And it is about the opportunity. Why this project? What's the opportunity? What's the why has the Soil CRC invested in this? How have we got to here?
Yeah, okay. Look, you're all familiar with the big companies, the firms like Apple and Tesla and Nokia and Nike and that. We say Procter & Gamble. They're big firms. Their business exists on innovation. They continually innovate. So innovation is actually their business. Now, there's been a lot of research that's looked at how they behave and what they do, and innovation doesn't occur serendipitously. So we know that we look at farmers and we say some are very innovative. They appear to be innovating all the time, and we say some laggards. They don't do anything new. They don't innovate. So innovation doesn't happen serendipitously. It requires the business, the organisation, to have the capability to innovate, the systems to manage and drive the innovation, and a culture that's conducive to innovation. And the culture takes time to build up over successive cycles of investing and failing. So we know that it doesn't happen serendipitously. So what I wanted to do with the Soil CRC, because you had all these farmer groups that are the ones that will have to innovate if we'd realise any benefit from the research and the knowledge that you've created, I wanted to see, can we work with the farmer groups as the vehicle to drive that innovation capability or that innovation occurring within, well, with their farmer members or with farmers. So that's why we put the program in place, sort of background in the agribusiness sector, building innovation in big firms. And I thought, well, let's try and see if we can put the same sort of program in place, which is to take some of the risk out of it by co-investing in an innovation manager in each one of the farmer groups, and then working with them to train an innovation and build an innovation strategy for their farmer group. So that's the genesis of the project, and that's essentially what we're doing.
That's great. I hand to Bret to build on that from your, because you say you took it over from someone else. You obviously wanted it. You could see there was opportunity. Is David right? Is he seeing it the right way from your perspective as a farmer group leader?
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't about a project. It was about an organisation, and it was about a process for us. And I think we've got the right culture. We've certainly got a lot of keen 25-year-old, tertiary educated agricultural scientists that are keen to innovate. But more importantly, we're a farming systems group. So we are representative of the farmers. We are the farmers, I think I said yesterday. And so one thing we've recognised is that the farmers are fantastic at ideation. So they come out with all these ideas, they come out with all these issues constantly. And then they're also at the other end of the spectrum. They're meant to be the ones that are implementing the solutions and adopting all this stuff. And then there's that bit in the middle, and that's where we all sit, all of us. And so we needed to work out a process that we could better utilise our organisation, because we sit beside them in enabling those ideas to come through and to go through an ideation pathway or an innovation pathway, and then get to you guys so that we can do some work on those ideas and get them back to the farmers. And there's probably a few questions in that as well that we raise along the way. And one that keeps coming out for me is the tradition versus innovation, because our farmers are very traditional in a lot of aspects in their farm management. But also for me, I suppose the biggest one is the quandary of relevance. So we have farmers with issues that they want to solve and agronomists with issues that they want to solve. And then we have federal government funding or state government funding or other funding that comes through, and they have their own issues that they want to deal with. And they're both relevant issues. It's just that they're often on a different time scale. So it's good to have a process and a pathway so we can juggle all of that and sort it all out.
Yep. Kate and then James to add to that.
So at BCG, we actually really valued this program. So we had a colleague who was in the first iteration of this, and he brought a lot of change and innovation to the forefront of our organisation, so that it's actually become part of our strategic plan and our vision and mission statements and things like that. So we really valued our first experience with this, and so much so that our CEO really encouraged any other staff members that were keen to be involved to, we had the opportunity to be involved, and so we could. And in addition to shaping our organisation, it's been able to maintain the skills and the processes that we've been learning through this program, so we can continue to apply it and keep the work that we're doing relevant, so that we've got the skills when growers or agronomists come up with ideas or suggestions. We feel like we can then take that through a process internally, provide them with the support that they need, and then return it back in the end if it seems to fit or if it doesn't.
Thank you.
At Soils for Life, we work with a particular type of farmer, a farmer that's quickly adopting practices focused on soil health, early adopters. So those farmers themselves, I guess, are innovative. But for us as an organisation to be providing them things that they value, for us to innovate in the way we do that, we need to listen very carefully to what they're doing at the moment, to understand them as the innovators, so that we can make sure that what we're delivering works for them. So what we've been doing with this program is developing an innovation within the organisation to listen better to farmers, to provide us capacity to expand our network, but to listen carefully in the way that we do that. So we've got a large engagement project for farmers to look at their soil health and monitor and measure their soil health in practical ways for themselves. That's going to give us a lot of understanding of how they're discussing soil health, what they see as important, because it's a peer learning project. So what we're doing is creating the space for the farmers to discuss soil health through images and 5 simple methods. And that gives us a lot of information about what's going to work for them. But also, an important part of innovation is being a filter, having a filter so that if you come up with an idea that doesn't quite work out, you have a way to find out fast enough. So we're also implementing a farmer advisory panel, another function or another activity in the organisation where we bring in key farmers and they help us understand what we might do. They sense check some of the ideas about what we have. And that's also, in a way, an engagement process for us to bring people into our network and for us to listen to what they think is important. So that's the way we are using this as a process to drive our innovation.
Thank you. Stephen, you've been in this space for a while. Are farming groups different? What's your experience working with farmer groups in building their innovation capacity, building that entrepreneurialism?
Well, it's been fantastic, but no, they're not different. Everyone's time poor. Everyone complains that they can't, get away from their day job and they're invoicing at 10 o'clock at night. So I do a lot with small businesses and farmers are one of those. But I think the biggest thing I've realised is that the groups, the intermediaries, are the best to facilitate. So, yeah, I have a learning design company. I call all my teachers program guides because all we need to do is take them on the journey. And we've got this fantastic survey that is going to have so much user research available to us. We've got farmers in their tractors on their fields every day coming up with so many ideas. We just need to extract them and then take them on a walk, okay? And take them on a walk is give them oxygen, give them time, give them space to build out very quickly, as James just said, very rapidly to work out if it's a go or no-go situation. It's innovation is, sorry, David, I know you like Elon Musk, but it's not what he does. It's just creating incremental value.
Yep. And I think from my perspective, you've been showing how that can happen within each of your groups. They're different, but you're learning skills around that. Is that correct? David, you just frowned at me.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of little anomalies to try to sort out. So remember I said before, business, so we work with big businesses. They have innovation systems in place, they have processes, they have people employed full-time to manage their business's innovation system. Then we think about farmers, they're small to mediums. It's often only 1 or 2 people and they're driving the tractor, they're shearing the sheep, they're doing all of that work. They actually don't have the resources or the scale to run their own innovation system. So, well, and look, if we want to sort soils out in Australia, we have to get to all farmers. So one of the things with this project that I'm sort of looking at is I guess, testing, is are the farmer groups, the facilitators of those individual farmers' innovation systems, are the farmer groups the ones that run the innovation system for each of those individual farm businesses, because they don't have the scale of the resources to run their own innovation system?
A couple more comments and we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, I certainly think so. I think it's not something. Some of our farmers do have the scale, by the way. Some of our farmers have over 200,000 hectares, so they've certainly got those resources. But I think for us, we've been doing this for a long time. This is pretty much what we do for a living. So we used to hold in the old days, 25 years ago, we used to have branch committee meetings, and we'd have a facilitated process and that sort of stuff. And now we have much more informal focus groups or just paddock walks or things like that, where we take in all of this information and we record it. But we're always being bombarded with those ideas, and I think so. We are a really good portal for especially for the universities to take advantage of, because we can be utilised as that portal to a lot of farmers, and not just the farmers. We've spoke this morning about the agronomists being so important in this chain. And the agronomists giving us access to 15 to 50 farmers at a time. So,
I hope it's also an opportunity for you to be able to better use universities and things. It's not just for the universities to use you, I imagine.
No, it's a development of the a development of the relationship, of the partnership, and I'm really thankful for. That's the reason I'm here, is because I'm really thankful for certainly the support that Michael's been giving us over the duration of the Soil CRC to encourage that partnership between the universities and the farming systems groups.
So quickly from James and Kate, and then if there's any questions, you can put your hands up. James?
Can you paraphrase the question for me?
No, it's really any final thing which you want to say about.
I think this is a really significant opportunity for us to do something that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do without the support and the resources. So it's important, and we are really looking forward to the outcomes. It's called the Soil Health Challenge. We'll be launching it in October.
Don't have too much there to add to James. That was a really good wrap up. But I guess through the program, it's been really good to be able to work through an actual worked example or an idea that we actually had and take it through the process. Some things you often, it's more through like generic or not so applicable. We've actually been able to work through an actual worked example, which has been very valuable.
Are there any questions? Mark?
Say that I knew Steve before he was famous. That was a joke. Anyway, I feel a bit flat. Anyway, my question is this: as Steve mentioned, I think innovation is often misunderstood. But I'm curious about the nature of the innovations the farm groups have been pursuing. Has it been around agricultural practice and skill development? Has it been beyond that? Have you been looking at business models or marketing, cooperative marketing arrangements, or other things, or things beyond the farm gate, maybe value adding, maybe at a group level or something like that? What have you been doing so far? What have the farmers been interested in? Where do you think this might go in the future? How do you see this evolving?
Yeah, and in the interest of time, I might ask David.
Yeah, look, we as part of the whole sort of training that we said to each of the innovation managers, pick a potential innovation, and we'll run through a boot camp, and we'll incubated. We'll just work through that innovation. I don't know if you're aware, it's the idea, build the minimum viable proposition, test it, fail early, fail really fast, only do enough to decide whether to go on to the next step. So we took them through that process, and they were technologies like double cropping and a few other things. What we've sort of moved on to now is the business model innovation which is to do with the farmer group itself, and that's what Bret's alluding to, how the farmer group and the business model that the farmer group has in place in order to do what it's worked out that it does, to facilitate innovation, to serve R&D providers and so on. So we've sort of both widget incubation, and innovation, and business model innovation as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm afraid we do need to wrap that up. Again, I could listen to you talking about this for hours. Do catch up with this group. Give them a round of applause.